This week on Around the Monitor, Sekiro and the difficulty versus accessibility debate. And the creator of Nuclear Throne says that making a good game doesn't mean you'll succeed. Sounds like he just needs to get good. Get ready to go Around the Monitor.
Let's go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Around the Monitor for the week of April 12th. I'm your host, King Kaiser, and this is the weekly gaming news talk show where the point you make in the discussion is a point towards winning. Joining me once again is the unlucky tacticianer, the Green 8 Ball.
Batteries are not included with my discussion today, so you're going to have to find your own way to create hype and energy.
We've got the fanciest boy in the land, the Dapper Dastard.
If you're not watching this live, you cheated not only the game, but yourself.
And we've got the snapshot crackshot, the Fisher King.
I'm gonna go with you. I forgot we did bits on the show and didn't prepare one.
Wow, what a fucking amateur. Just want to make a quick announcement before we get to the show. If you're watching the show live, thank you very much. We record the show live every Thursday night around 7:30. We go live on twitch.tv/King Kaiser. That is twitch.tv/King Kaiser. It does go live, or not live, but it goes up every Friday on both YouTube and iTunes podcasts. We also have a Facebook group. We have a YouTube channel, a Twitter, and I think that's all I have right now. So we're still working on the official website. Let's get right into this one with the first topic. This is a beefy debate that I'm excited but also extremely worried to get into. Sekiro and the difficulty versus accessibility debate. This has been raging pretty much since the game launched. I want to say like a week and a half ago. It's not that old. But we missed last week, and we're going to get into it this week because it's just... We started talking about it on our own, and we just kind of got into it. I was like, we need to put this on the podcast. So I kind of want to start this from different perspectives based on the different articles that I've pulled. And I think, we haven't talked since the initial discussion, but I think, Dapper, you were the one who was arguing for an easy mode in this game. So please take it away.
All right. So there's a lot to say here, but I think I'll sort of start out with the sort of simple things. I'm focusing what I'm going to say on difficulty. I'm not going to go... If I use terms of accessibility, I'm not referring to things like better controller mapping for people with like wrist issues or subtitles or colorblind mode. I'm kind of talking more of the skill gap being a barrier to playing the game. So I just kind of want a disclaimer that if I use certain terms, I'm only leaning towards one side of this argument. Mm-hmm. So to sum it all up, I think games like Sekiro should have an easy mode. I personally think any game should have multiple difficulty options. Yeah, no. So, and I think the biggest reason is it doesn't take anything away from the experience, but it simply allows people who may not be the greatest of gamers to still enjoy other aspects of the game, such as the gameplay, the story, the music, the graphics, the aesthetic, or whatever. And again, I don't think it's like a has-be. I don't say fuck Sekiro for not having an easy mode, they're evil people. I'm not raging about the issue. I just think it's a better option. I think it's just improves the experience because you shouldn't be turned off of a game just because it's so punishing you can't enjoy yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you add an easy mode, it's not like the true difficulty disappears. Mm-hmm. What I do want to rage about, though, is the reaction to the reaction. When some of these articles about Sekiro having an easy mode came out, there was that instant, knee-jerk reaction of, this will ruin the game, or this infringes upon the artistic integrity of the game. And that's the stuff that put me that's the stuff that puts me in rage mode, because I so cannot understand that line of logic where, like, the existence of a different difficulty somehow changes your experience, or like opening the game up to more people makes it less to you.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of the same kind of hipster mentality where, like, if too many people like this band, it's not good anymore. If too many people can beat Sekiro, it takes away from my achievement to beating Sekiro, which again just makes no sense to me. My problem.
I do want to put it out there. I have beaten Sekiro, so.
Good for you. You got good. You got good.
You're a real gamer.
I am a real gamer.
and that's really my problem, is that sort of mentality borders so much on toxic gatekeeping, which
Very
is
true.
huge among gamers, where they think that the term game, that you have to reach some sort of arbitrary level of skill to be considered a gamer, or worse, a hardcore gamer. And they have this idea that, like, if you give Sekiro an easy mode, it's going to make not true gamers be able to play the game, and they'll be able to put themselves on the same level as you, the true gamer. And I'm just not buying that. I think people who complain about artistic integrity are just creating a false scarecrow so they can gatekeep, because they want to wear. You're allowed to take pride as being a gamer, but they want to wear that pride toxically. And I think that's what really set me off in this debate, was people who flipped a shit just over the concept of an easy mode.
Sorry to do this right at the first point, but like I don't, like, to respond to that, I don't think that even borders on toxic. I think that just is toxic. It literally is gatekeeping.
Well, I wanna take this one to. I wanna take this one to 8-Ball, because I think. Just judging by our initial discussions, I think you are more on the side of it's not on the developer to make this a reality for people. So I kind of want to get your counterpoint to this.
Right. So I'm going to use a couple of examples to hopefully back up.
Please. No, that's what I want.
First of all, in terms of Pridge's or Dapper's response in terms of what you should be not doing on the internet is like I think there's what you shouldn't be doing in terms of behavior. Obviously, just like, oh, like you can't play this game or you don't think the same way. That's already just any game input. Like that's just wrong initially already. We'll start off like that. It happens in a lot of communities, and I'm going to reference this community a lot because it's the one I know the best. It's going to be FE. So there's a lot of Fire Emblem. Elitist is usually a huge thing, and I know I'm the Fire Emblem guy. You're always going to hear it, but it's the easiest thing I can relate it to. They have difficulty modes in that game. Or in a game that's Phoenix mode, easy, normal, and hard. And if you don't play on hard, a lot of the time elitists don't take your opinion seriously on any board. And I'm afraid that could happen with games like Dark Souls anyway. So like if it had hard mode,
it definitely happens. Let me just tell you that.
Be like, you don't play on hard mode, your opinion means jack shit. Like if they already introduced modes, or like even for viewing experiences or streamers, they'll be like, yo, you're not playing on hard mode, I don't want to watch you. Like it already creates kind of a I don't want to say it's the way I would word it is almost like it's like feudal, like peasants, and then like dukes, and then like kings. Like oh, you're the best guy here, I'm gonna watch you, and like people go immediately, and peasants' opinion doesn't mean anything. So it already can create barriers just by doing that already, and whether that's the fault of the game company or not, it just sucks because that's just gonna happen. In terms of artistic integrity, I will disagree heavily with Dapper's point here, because if you're playing a game, if you're playing specifically these Souls series games, where they haven't intended, there's no difficulty level, they're just normal games. If I can't beat that game at that level, maybe the game just straight up isn't for me. And it just happens. Like, I don't think every game needs to be for everybody. And, you know, they don't have to like it. It encourages you to maybe try, and it's a different experience. And the player or the maker had an experience that he wanted the player to get out of it. It wanted to be tough. He wanted it to be hard. That's what he got out of it. I think I encourage when people play Fire Emblem to not play easy. I encourage them to play normal, because that's just the flat experience you're going to get out of the game. Easy, when you play on different things, they do change, like people can die permanently, and I think that just cheapens. That's not even like Fire Emblem anymore, Phoenix mode. So like it teaches you bad habits. Lastly, I know I've gone on for a long while here. In the article that was on this side, I 100% almost disagreed with almost everything he said. I don't like the idea that it costs too much for the makers to make or whatnot, and that's the reason why we shouldn't ask for it. That's such a baloney excuse, in my opinion. Like, don't use that as your reasoning behind it. I would say that the logic that I'm following is hopefully more than just like it. The developer can't do it. Like, I'm like, come on, man, come on. They can do it, but like, I don't want them to focus on that. You know.
I mean, it's certainly a case by case basis depending on what the game is. Like, obviously, with like a strategy game, like a turn based game, I think it's easier to add like more of like tweaking numbers and stuff like that. But like people have been doing this for a while. But if you have a game, you can make it harder on your own a lot of the time. Pokemon has no blocks. There's like no growth runs in games, and you try to finish the game as fast as you can. Yeah, there are people who play Dark Souls games without leveling up, which
exactly.
So
it's go like item
making it even harder.
Like they're crazy. Yeah. People will make it
totally
or easier, I guess, if they cheat. But
Fisher, I had also pulled up another article, mostly stating this was
article.
No, I gave everybody these articles.
Okay.
This one was talking about how Cory Balrog, the lead developer of 2018's God of War, which was rated Game of the Year by many different outlets, said that accessibility has and never will be a compromise to his vision, basically saying like, oh, well, the games I make won't, like, there won't be able to a way to add accessibility to, or I don't know if I'm wording this correctly. I don't know. Would you like to kind of take this away from me? Like for example, there was another story I was listening to with a guy. Actually, his moniker is The Blind Gamer, a pretty popular Twitch channel. I think it's twitch.tv/snowball. And he is severe. He's legally blind, but he can see. It's just severely impaired. But he loves playing games. Obviously, he makes it. He plays Twitch constantly, and he's been called in multiple times to be a consultant on Ubisoft games, and he was saying how he worked personally with the people who made Division 2 to make it more accessible. And he was saying, like, simple things that like we might not think about, but like for him, he's like, hey, he lobbied extremely hard for like make it so you can enlarge the text in the game. Like that will make a huge difference, or make certain. I mean, like even something as simple as a colorblind mode, which we don't necessarily think about, but like for certain people, that could completely gatekeep them from playing a game. And some of that stuff is easier, some of that stuff is harder depending on the game, yada yada. But how do you feel about this coming down on developers? Is it their job to do these certain things? Is it their is it on them, or is it, hey, if you do it, good on you, let's give you a pat on the back, but let's not scream at you for not adding certain accessibility options? How do you feel about that?
Games is tough because it's an interactive medium. Games is tough. Games it's interactive medium because, like, here's the thing. If I make a film, I went to film school. If I make a film and it's not easily identifiable for what's going on for a blind person watching my film. No one's gonna fucking take me out in the street and beat me for that. And no one's gonna rake me over the coals for that. I mean, like, Michael Bay gets shit because they have a million cuts to hide shit and there's constant stuff going on. You can't see what's going on. But like that's a little different than, I think, like making it so everything in your medium is easily recognizable to someone that has a specific variety of disability. Blind being the example here. We're also dealing with the Japanese market, which, look, man, I'm gonna be real. Japan and disabled people don't go hand in hand typically.
I know what you meant, but that was an odd way to word that.
Yeah, that's not a good way to word that. I see what you're saying now. I really can't find it in me to blame a game dev for for building their game in a way that unintentionally is more difficult for certain impaired players to access. Especially when you're looking at not a franchise, Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, they're Miyazaki's weird brainchild.
Yes.
They're relatively infamous for having a pretty garbage, weird, contrived control scheme.
I'll give you that one.
To jump in Bloodborne or Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3, you hold the sprint button and then tap the same button while holding it to jump. Like, I think it's kind of bizarre to attack, like not Miyazaki specifically, but attack FromSoft for having a weird and difficult to access both control scheme and playstyle in a, once again, not to use the term franchise, but franchise that is like all about not only doing weird things with control scheme and the way you interact with just the game, but also like a game that is kind of designed to punish you for learning. Like the whole point of like I mean, I've beaten Bloodborne. I've 100% of the game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Sekiro was very hard for me because everything I had learned in Bloodborne, I had to unlearn in Sekiro. Same thing with going from Dark Souls 2 to Bloodborne. Like, don't block.
Yeah.
I just think it's a weird comparison. Like, it's also like they're not like really a AAA developer. They're like a, you know,
they're in a weird middle ground.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not
like
Naughty Dog,
indie darling, but they're not, you know.
They got that good money though nowadays.
Good cush money.
Good cush money. And finally, I pulled up an article. I kind of want to get everybody's like quick, I'll say 45-second analysis on. This is an article written for IGN by Cherry Johnson. Let me pull up the quote I have in particular. She writes this article from the perspective of being a gamer with certain physical limitations, but she says, this is a long quote, so pack a lunch. Sure, there are some things I can't do, and that's okay. It's life for everyone. But for disabled people, we often can't join in just because no one thought of us. It's unbearably isolating and sad to be faced with other people's palpable joy and camaraderie when you have to watch from the sidelines again. It's also not always an all or nothing situation of can and can't. Sometimes doing the thing is painful or exhausting, i.e. harder than it should be. So yes, I completed Bloodborne, but in doing so, I was left with hand injuries that took months to heal. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Playing exhausted me both mentally and physically. It made me hyper aware of my limitations as a disabled player. When a game like Sekiro is released, the discussion often turns to difficulty modes, in part because people want to join in a healthy way that works for their needs. They're tired of being shut out completely or being made to feel inadequate because of their limitations. They desperately want to be part of the hype. Missing out on the latest big deal really hurts, especially when it happens as often as it does for disabled people. With the screams of "get good" comes the fundamental misunderstanding of what accessibility actually is. Is it difficulty modes? That's sometimes a small part of it, but it's also so much more. Difficulty options are just one potential axis in which to solve unintentional barriers that disabled and plenty of non-disabled players face. But they're not always the best way to solve them. In my job, I actively encourage teams to approach the subject with nuance and creativity because there's the affronting misconception that disabled players can just, well, play on easy. End quote. Alright, so with all of that stuff, let's start with Dapper first, and we'll kind of go in order here that we started with. How, like from that perspective, how does that, I guess, kind of temper your argument or persuade you to feel differently about this, or double down on what you feel?
Yeah. So first, that's kind of why I differentiated when I started between difficulty and accessibility, because I think they're majorly different issues, and I think like this, the author of that quote states, easy modes are just one part of the idea of accessibility, and you know, I think as we've been talking, there are a lot of things. I mean, I know for games like League of Legends, colorblind mode is often a huge thing because if you can't see skills coming at you, you have no method of dodging them. Right. So I think accessibility is, again, it requires a lot more nuance because there's a lot of things you have to think of, and some things that are just not going to be. You know, there are some things you're not going to be able to come, but there are certain things to think of, and it's tough because it's probably because it's obviously going to be a smaller demographic that you don't think to appeal to because it's obviously not your target.
Absolutely.
But it you should always try and take measures to keep that in mind. But again, you can't expect the world of a developer to be able to contemplate and predict every measure that will stop them, but you should try and approach it at least for obvious things like controller mapping or colorblind mode or subtitles or text or things like that. Things you can do.
Which I do want to add, this game does, well, at least with Steam, but that's mostly because of Steam interface, you can change the color mapping or the controller mapping for this game. So I don't think it is in the game, but
it's not. It's rebindable, fully in game.
In game, okay, great. There we go. But
well, I mean, to a reasonable degree.
Right. All right. Itball, do you want to weigh in on this one?
We might have been on differing sides in terms of the actual reasoning behind it. In terms of game, like unironically, or you don't usually use the term gamer unironically. So in terms of like why a gamer should complain about easy mode or hard mode. Yeah, we may have been on different sides on that, but in terms of like actual physical accessibility, I mean, of course, I think like this is not what we were both talking about. I think we're talking about more so, just if you're just a normal person playing the game and trying to get the experience out of it.
I agree with that.
So, but yeah, you can't get everybody, right? You can't. It's a net that you're just not going to be able to get. But there's certain basic level features that you should have. Subtitles is cover like that. It's the same ones he mentioned. So I think it's not that I'm going to have a differing opinion on this. You should try to grab as much people with your net as you can. Obviously, it's going to slip through the cracks. I think in this article, even though we already kind of started with me, if you were there for the pre-show, I wasn't appreciative of this article because I think this one tries to, this article specifically almost makes it so they tried to get a point out of it as much as they can. If they were limited by what they had, and I want to be as this is maybe controversial, I thought they should just take it with a smaller pace or something like that. I don't know. It seemed like they might have rushed it.
Sorry, could you clarify a bit more?
So like they said they like got like, didn't they say they physically got like their wrists like had significant
hand injuries that took months to heal.
Yeah, so like I don't know if they were playing at an extended amounts of pace, like a normal, like, or they didn't limit their action they got from the game. They overextended themselves. I don't know how that happens because I don't have that same disability. So I thought they would have maybe taken more precautions on their own, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. If you have some of these accessibility needs, I know it's not very like, you have to be able to acknowledge that yourself, and sometimes if the game doesn't come up with it, like it can't always get everybody. So like if you have a need that might not be getting there, you have to find your own way to kind of compensate for it. It's a sad reality of everything that happens in life. If you're on the subway, like you might have something that makes you not be able to ride the subway, but like you have to find a way for your own sake to still do it to the best of your ability. Obviously, there's normal things they should offer, but
it's a
thin line.
Yeah, no, it's an extremely difficult debate, and there's not a simple answer to it, which is probably why the internet has had such a fucking nightmare of talking about it.
There's base level things you should have included, but like you're gonna miss some people, and they're gonna have to find a ways to compensate for them missing you instead of them just immediately bashing the developer. I don't think you should do that.
It's impossible to compensate for every individual case. And there, at some point, you have to draw the line between like you're going to get yelled at for, oh well, you're discriminating against this specific person and their specific thing. But like, if we spend the entire development cycle, like trying to cater to specific problems, we're never going to finish the fucking thing. Although there is something to be said for outwardly. It's a hard way to describe it, but I guess aggressive game design. Like, so, okay, when Kid Icarus Uprising was out, people were getting fucking carpal tunnel from beating the fucking thing.
Oh, to like claw hand the game.
Yeah, because that was like the most efficient way to play it, or whatever the fuck. And it was like there was multiple cases of it. At that point, I would say that is flat out aggressive, or damaging game design. But I mean, honestly, I've played 15, 20 hours of Sekiro. I don't have any hand disabilities or anything of that variety. I don't think there's anything like there's not like a lot of twitch movement that would really behoove an injury like that. So I wouldn't call it outwardly aggressive game design because it doesn't affect everyone in that regard. But once again, we're talking about disability cases where like unless you're going to bring someone in with bring a lot of people in with a lot of different varieties of disability, you're not gonna be able to tell, and like that's honestly really expensive game design that I think not a lot of companies can afford to do. FromSoft maybe, but I would say even for them it's kind of hard. Something like Ubisoft, yeah, totally.
Yeah. I referenced Ubisoft earlier, and I mean, of course they have absurd amounts of money to do these kinds of things, but that's not always the case. But I think we've spoken a pretty good amount on that and presented different sides, and I think this was actually a pretty good discussion. So let's get into the next topic. This one comes from gamesindustry.biz. Sorry, laughing at Hayo in the chat here. This next
must be fucking asleep.
Yeah. Hayo could literally. Hayo, I think it's good that you're not on this episode. Anyways, this next article comes from Games.
Talking Philadelphia again.
Oh my god. Yeah, Hayo, you gotta know where Philly is to be on this show.
We're gonna host an episode in Philadelphia, and you have to.
Oh my god.
Hey, Barcade Philadelphia, get at us.
Anyways, this next article comes from gamesindustry.biz. Vlambeer's co-founder, a game developing company notable for Nuclear Throne, did an interview this week saying gaming isn't a meritocracy, i.e. like just making a good game doesn't mean it will do well for you or will get noticed by many players or the gaming public at large. This article is a tough one. There's a lot of negativity in this one and a lot of frustration, understandably so. I mean, there's one point in the article where, what's his name? Rami Ismail, who spoke for the article, basically said like, we made this one game and it did well, and it took us a while to make the game. It was Ridiculous Fishing is what it's called, which is a hilarious title for a game, and
it's a great game.
Makes me want to play it very badly. But like they released it, and then shortly afterwards, somebody released like basically a complete rip-off game that probably took them half the time to make because they could see the formula already that had been done. And they got super pissed about that, and they actually made a game, Luftraisers, which I've played and was pretty fun. They said they made it kind of as like a response. It was just an angry game because they were angry at the time. And then, now they've released Nuclear Throne, which is extremely popular, at least in the indie game scene. But it said, it took them 4 or 5 years to put together. So there's a quick quote I want to pull, and then I think I'm just going to do kind of like quick analysis from everybody here. Ismail has heard plenty of stories of developers who risked it all to make their dream project. Now he wants to hear a different kind of story. Quote, "We're just more interested in how can a studio keep their head above water without having to blow everything on it," he said. "That's how this should work. You should be able to make interesting games you're really proud of that don't require you to sell your house or get a second mortgage or get rid of your healthcare. But those are the stories we keep telling. We just want to tell the story of, we're a studio in a good spot, we have great audience, we have a community, we're making games, doing it without betting the bank, and we're doing it in a way that we're still making work we're very proud of and that we think our fans will like," end quote. So, pretty depressing stuff, but ultimately, it seems like this is kind of the reality of at least the indie scene. I mean, we could have talked about the AAA scene this week with the whole BioWare article, but I kind of chose to not talk about that one because it's more. I think our answers would have been very similar. This one, maybe there's room for a discussion. But let's start it off with Fisher. How do you feel about this? Is this kind of is there any solution to this? Is no? It's just you gotta risk it all for your art, and hopefully people like your game. And even then, they might not, even if it's good.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Hayo right here and say, fuck this guy. No. First of all, I bought Ridiculous Fishing, and it was highly recommended. He can fuck off. Lou Phrases I've heard is very good. Nuclear Throne came out at the same time. This is exactly my point. It came out at the same time as Enter the Gungeon did. They are both bullet hell.
Yeah. I played Enter the Gungeon.
Top-down... kind of class-based, but only a little bit. Mm-hmm. Dungeon crawlers.
Mm-hmm.
with roguelike tendencies, tons of guns, a lot of ridiculous bullshit. Guess which one sold better? The better game. Enter the Gungeon. Fuck off.
Dang.
And you know what? Props to them. They went and retooled their game and released it, and it started doing better. That's totally fine. I think, like, it's not a matter of making a good game. Any team of 5 people can make a adequate to good game. And yeah, maybe they have an interesting message and something good. It is a meritocracy because everything is. If you make something good enough, people will latch onto it. And if you want an example, look at Undertale. I don't like Undertale specifically, but I accept that it is a well-crafted, well-made thing, and people latched onto it, rode that thing, and it fucking blew up. Good for Toby Fox. Like, I think this is honestly just whining. Like, everyone can't get a fucking participation award, especially in a competitive media industry. You know how many fucking projects I made in film school that sucked dick? my professor wasn't like, oh, well, you presented a really unique vision here. Good job, have an A. No, they're like, fuck you, take a C and go back and try again better next time.
Dang. You heard it here. You heard it here first. Fisher King, subrate video producer.
Fuck you. I'm the director.
Dapper, how do you feel about this one?
So he does come off a bit self-indulgent, and I will cede that point to Fisher King. But I do actually agree with this point that gaming is not a meritocracy. At least, obviously, not completely one. I think in any creative endeavor, no matter whether you're trying to become an artist, a musician, an actor, or anything, a lot of the times it's being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, getting the right bit of attention, and it's again, obviously your merit means a lot. You know, no one's going to give you attention if what you do sucks. But you can create something very good and just get unlucky. You don't have the resources. You don't have the connections. You don't know the right people. And you can do something great, and if no one finds out about it, the couple hundred nobodies on Steam giving it good reviews aren't going to get you anywhere. You're just going to be stuck in the gutter.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of times, especially for indie companies, that it isn't a meritocracy because no one's going to hear about you if you can't get it out to the right person. I think there's some improvements in this system. I think the advent of streaming and things like Patreon do a lot more to help, because sometimes it really only takes one semi-popular streamer to stream your game who will get 2 other semi-popular streamers to stream your game. So there is some parts that are making it more merit-based, but I think at the end of the day, like any struggling, starving author, artist, musician, whatever, you're just gonna get unlucky sometimes if you don't have some way to put yourself ahead of the curve and start out on a higher step.
Yeah, shit can be hard, yo. I will absolutely vouch for that one. 8Ball, any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you can honestly make a whole segment sucking off the fucking Kaiser right now and say, oh man, like he releases all this content and merit and he puts all his work in there, but since he hasn't hit straight gold yet, then he's
Meanwhile, a video that I might have edited for a friend of mine.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
has done 85,000 views,
and it's like right place, right time where the game was talked about and hyped up, and and people were like looking it up and like, oh, okay, like like it's stuff like that.
They all sounded like that, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have personal experience. They all messaged me remotely over the new whatever the fuck that like Vive thing on YouTube. I missed the joke. Anyway, the point is a great example in the gaming community is Titanfall 2.
Absolutely.
People always reference that game got really unlucky based off its release date.
Which I do want to quick shout out right now. It's less than $5 on the Xbox store.
Yeah. So like people whenever they mention that in especially the Apex Reddit, they're like, this game is really fucking good, but why didn't it get the credibility and hype that it deserved if it's so good? Probably because it was released along with other games that year, and it just happens that way. Or your thing gets its release dates, it's who you know, and this guy. The problem is this guy sounds like an absolute douchebag in making his argument, but he has a good argument in some art. Like if he didn't sound like such a tool, people probably would be more. It sounds like an indie game developer complaining.
I do want to say here too, he does make a point where he says, it's like you can make a good game, and people will say like, well, you'll get a little bit of notoriety, so then when you make the second game, they'll notice you more. And he's like, yeah, that's cool, but like it takes multiple years to make a game. Like it's fucking brutal to be like,
okay.
I'm gonna spend 4 years working my fucking life away before I get any notice.
But some people they word it like that, and even just basketball or the NBA, the average career is 3 years, right? Or in the NFL, like obviously the best players get past that. You might only get one chance at it, and it's just unlucky. Or you might be the right place, right time quarterback. I think Romo is a good example that he was like a backup quarterback, and he got to shine because somebody got hurt. Right? And he got a chance to play, and he's like, oh shit, this guy might have a chance. So like he got an opportunity and he made the best of it on his own merit. But sometimes he might not have gotten that chance, and that's kind of unfortunate. Like it's stuff like that can happen and can change and alter a career. Warcraft is a great example too. Blizzard started making this Viking game, not very popular, but they didn't stop there. They just kept releasing games, and one of them stuck, and there was Warcraft, and then Starcraft, and then now they are what they are.
Vikings fucking slaps. It's a good game.
But that's not. If it's a good game, it wasn't as noticed as the other games. That's
True.
what I'm saying.
No. I mean, nobody stuff like that. Nobody talks about Blizzard's canon and is like, oh man, remember Vikings? What a good game.
Remember Vikings. They mentioned everything else. So I don't think complaining about your 4 years going on like unlucky, like that happens to a lot of people, my dude. I'm sorry. I don't.
But also, like. You use Titanfall, and like Titanfall is a multi-million-dollar AAA-ish FPS. That's a pretty competitive market. Like bullet hell, top-down, couch games isn't really. There's two. You have one of them.
Here's my question: who published Nuclear Throne? Because Devolver published.
I have no idea who published Nuclear Throne.
Then that's what I'm going to say: is Devolver picked up their game. Devolver fucking pushed it with all their money. All right, we gotta sell a quick tie here. So 30 seconds on the clock. Quick headline of the week that I chose not to include on the show. Mike Tyson released a tweet saying that he was mad about Nintendo might be working on a new Punch-Out game, and he's not involved. Don't tell him that he wasn't involved in the last two Punch-Out games, though. April, you got 30 seconds to make jokes about Mike Tyson. Go.
They probably didn't want to update their sprite with the new tattoo on his face, because that would have been hideous and scared a lot of their viewer base and player base. So that's probably why they didn't want to include him in that one. It wasn't for his capabilities as a fighter or anything. So they were going to include God, I can't make the joke because I forgot his name. Fuck, who is the guy who fought Manny Pacquiao? Oh my god. Floyd Mayweather. They were going to include him, but he couldn't read the agreement, so.
Oh, good. That's time. And Dapper, Mike Tyson, jokes, go.
Fuck Mike Tyson. He doesn't even get jokes. Okay, the dude was convicted of rape and basically got to have an entire despite being convicted of rape crimes. Fuck him. He doesn't even get my time for a joke.
Can I butt in with a joke then?
Sure. You got 15 seconds left on Dapper's timer, so.
Oh man, there goes Mike Tyson being in Smash.
Man,
It's so funny though. He just fucking rips into the guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I mean, he does deserve it. He literally beat and ripped his wife.
Yeah, I know.
Twice.
Yeah, multiple times. Damn, I really appreciate the Floyd Mayweather illiteracy joke, but I think I'm going to actually give that one to Dapper just for the fucking sheer brutality.
Oh, fuck me. It's pretty me in the final.
Oh, man.
I haven't reached the final twice, and both times I'm like, man, it was close.
It was really close. But for right now, April, it's time to go home and become a family man. And,
Final round. Fight.
Alright, and we are back in the final round with the Fisher King and the Dapper Dastard. This first article comes from Polygon.com. Resident Evil 2 Remake, which just came out, I think, in January of this year, now has a $5 paid DLC to unlock everything in the game, all the bonus modes, all the extra content, basically everything that you would normally get through playing the mode on like different difficulties, beating it with like certain time requirements, yada yada. You can pay them $5 and hey, congratulations, you've unlocked everything. How do we feel about this? Fisher King.
Fine. I saw people bitching about this on Twitter, and I'm like, why do you care? This is fine. Like, it's just like, do you want to spend the amount of time it would take to unlock all that stuff? If so, do that. Mm-hmm. That is an option you have been afforded in life. You already bought the video game. Like, it's fine. And at the same time, it's a thing of like return on investment. Like, I've played Resident Evil 2, and I've looked at the remake. I like RE2. I just don't feel like doing it. If I really felt like doing a specific thing in Resident Evil 2 to see like how it works in the new game or something like that, it's $5. It's not the end of the world. That really, in the grand scheme of what things cost in video games, isn't that much. And also, like, I'm really overall fine with optional DLC or optional charges that don't like change anything, because like it's not like any of the bonus modes are particularly absurd to get. And it's not like this was like, if this was implemented on day one and it was like, oh, to unlock
Tofu mode.
Leon. Yeah, sure.
That is a mode in the game.
Yes, I'm aware. You have to like do this 25 times, and it was like day one DLC. That I'd be mad about, but this honestly just seems like a quality of life thing that Capcom was like, fuck it, we can make extra money, because apparently Capcom doesn't make money, which is something that bewilders me every day of my life.
Nah, Capcom, pretty poor company. Dapper, how do you feel about this one?
I'm also pretty fine with this.
God damn it.
This is a reason.
Make an argument against it. Dare to be different.
You can't put us in the final round.
Either make an argument against it or make good jokes.
I mean, what argument against there is, though?
Loud sweating.
If you don't like the product, don't goddamn buy it. No one's shoving this down your throat and saying the only way to get this material is to pay $5. And it's an old game. Sometimes you just want to play an old game for nostalgia's sakes, and you don't like. I don't want to like. If I'm just doing this for nostalgia's sakes, I don't want to like run the gamut and try and unlock all this shit. I just want to play a bunch of more shit for nostalgia's sake. Let me pay $5 and save myself the time and effort. If I can just dick around with an old classic and enjoy myself.
All right, I'm gonna withhold voting on this one because it was a boring question, and I shouldn't have put it, but I thought it was a cool piece of news. Hopefully,
I warned you about that one before this episode.
You totally did.
I got nothing interesting to say on that.
All right. This next article comes from IGN. An anonymous millionaire, which
I promised nothing and I delivered less.
It's surprising to me. You didn't cheat the game; you cheated yourself.
Congratulations, you played.
This one comes from IGN. An anonymous millionaire wants to create a real-life battle royale. It's interesting to me that it's a millionaire, not a billionaire, because it kind of sounds like this is billionaire territory, but. Basically,
hey, if you have 999 million, you're still a millionaire.
That's fair, but basically they want to acquire like a private island, an unknown island, get a bunch of people on it. I think they said kids in the article, but I don't know. And have airsoft guns, and if you get shot, you're out. Have it last 3 days. At nighttime, you don't fight because it's night, and then you get like a camping equipment and stuff like that. One, is this awesome? Two, is there ways that this can go wrong? The answer is yes. And three,
I say we're not going to argue on that.
And the three, what is the game that you want to see you want to see a millionaire adapt into a real life sport, blood sport that we can have happen? Dapper, start this one off.
Alright, well, joke on this millionaire. Koshin Takami already beat you to it in his 1998 graphic Battle Royale. Only that one involved government-mandated murdering of each other.
Hey, this is aristocracy mandated murder. So,
okay. So first off, this is hilarious. I like that it's an anonymous billionaire because no one wants to put their name on this. Crazy stunt.
Well, the thing was,
I'm the guy who wants to spend $.
I think he's an idiot for not putting his name on it.
Oh, like, here's the thing. It says like a British millionaire, and it gives some other article, and it's like, this is Rick Branson, isn't it? This is the former owner of Virgin. Like, this is Rick Branson. I know it's him.
They're gonna have the Virgin players are gonna drop out of.
Yeah, it's gotta be Rick Branson. Anyways, sorry, Dapper. Please continue.
Space drop.
Obviously, this is hilarious because, I mean, the reality is the concept of a 100-person airsoft tournament on a deserted island is actually amazing.
And
I mean,
here's the thing. Televise that.
Yeah, the world has watched stupider game shows.
You already got to my point then.
The world has watched stupider game shows. This would sell like hotcakes. And of course, anyone who participates in this is going to have a 60-page waiver of liability.
Oh, yeah.
Every possible way you can get yourself named by doing this.
And
you will spend more time reading the waiver than you will be on the game. So that shit will be like 60 pages of legal jargon, making sure this dipshit millionaire cannot get sued when this inevitably gets someone actually injured.
Absolutely. Fisher. Sorry. Yeah. What's your game?
Final point. When are we doing real life Rocket League? When are we putting?
When are
we actually putting boosters on cars?
Inexplicably, that's kind of in line with mine.
Making a demolition derby.
That's the best one.
Into a soccer game where people will inevitably die.
Wait. So, question: it would be actual people in the cars and not remote control.
Oh, that's probably safer. But I mean, come on, man. If people's life, if there's not gonna be blood spilled, what's the point?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Curtis is the same as mine in the opposite direction.
Okay, Fisher, come up with a better answer while talking.
Well, okay. First of all, no, this is an amazing idea, and I love it. I think the dumbest thing is that they didn't attach their name to it and say, "This was me. Fuck you." This is because you know this started out as I want to have an island and have an actual death fight on it, and then someone went, we can't say that. We can't even think about saying this. Mm-hmm. On a more serious note, this is already definitely 100% being developed by some Survivor or esque presentation thing, and this is gonna be a shitty.
Virgin America is consulting Bear Grylls to talk about the logistics of this
fucking show. It's not even a question. Like, battle royales are so popular, people are like, "How can I make Fortnite into another thing to make money?" That's just life. That's what we live in now.
That's brilliant.
People see the Fortnites and they want to make the money. It's hey, they're making $100 million. I want that too, and that's what that is. The more exciting thing here is what other dumb bullshit can we make into a real life video game? And the answer is I don't care. Give me giant fighting robots.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. I thought you weren't gonna have an answer, and I was be like, oh wow, you definitely lose this question then.
And very similar to Bridge, I want real people in these robots.
Yeah. My only hope is that when they actually do this in the first iteration, I want Ninja to be an actual contestant on the show.
That'd be great, actually.
That's a fucking slam dunk idea.
Okay.
But he will not win. But
put them on the island from Lost and give them very sharp, very real weapons.
Wait.
No, fuck off! And it's only Twitch streamers.
Now this I could get behind.
And they have to be real people.
No, the most important thing is after the first version of this, someone needs to make a better version called British Battle Royale, which also includes Mary Berry. And
I was gonna say Mary Berry's in there.
Because I just want to take literally the exact aesthetic of the Great British Baking Show and then put it in a battle royale.
Okay, I like this idea. So
the Great British Battle Royale.
You have 24 hours to scavenge all the things around the map to cook the next day.
Damn, that's also really good.
And have your meal tasted.
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay, that's also a really good idea. Damn it. All right. So essentially, Battleship Brigade, yeah.
Cooking Mama 2.
Cooking Mama. Player Unknown's Cooking Mama.
The cooking. Anyways.
Yeah, the cooking's good.
Okay, so everybody gets a point for that one. We're going to the final question.
This was an unproductive final round.
Yeah, we're just making memes now. Memes into dreams.
Isn't that what you tuned in for?
Exactly. This one comes from Twinfinite. PSN name changes are here, but not without a cost. This has been a long requested feature for the longest of times. I was kind of giving an explanation of this before the start of the show, but basically, When Xbox created their online platform, they, you make an account, you get a series of numbers that is behind the scenes, but on the front is whatever you choose your gamer tag to be. PlayStation Network did not do that. Instead, this is your account. So if you want to change your name, whoops, you done goofed. And so there are plenty of people who now, years in, don't want to be known as Big Balls Joe 69.
Coward.
But hey, I don't want to lose my...
Wear your name with pride.
But I don't want to lose my 50 platinum trophies that I have, so what do? Basically, now you can opt to change your name. The first change is free. Any change after that is $10, I believe. And then they said any game moving forward past April 2018, which is a year ago, you should be fine on, should in quotation marks, but they compiled a pretty extensive list of games that there are some issues with, and some games that there are major issues with, if you do in fact go ahead and change your name. Some of which might completely erase all the trophies that you have on that game. Some of which would completely render the online features unplayable. Now, granted, some of these are for PlayStation 3 games, PlayStation Vita games that you probably aren't going back to. But Fisher, why don't you start this one off? How do you feel about this? And can you make a good joke? I'm gonna time this one. You got a minute.
Hey, Sony, it's me. It's Chris. Come here. Get it the fuck together. What are you fucking doing? How have you not even retroactively gone and fixed it? This is fucking asinine. Okay. Here's the thing that game companies never do. They never let the consumer make giant decisions that affect the company. Sony, the absolute mad lads, did that on 2 different consoles. This is, I think, one of the biggest blunders I've ever seen. The fact that PSN name changes are news in 2019. At this point, you should have just let the service die and started with something new, rather than announce it and say, "Hey, we still, after all the years and all the money you've given us, can't figure this shit out because we're too incompetent."
It's pretty wild.
This is basically just saying, don't trust us with your online service ever again.
That's fair.
Because we'll fuck it up twice.
Certainly. Dapper, your best jokes, go.
So, bad news. I went to the U.S. Name Change Bureau and got my name legally changed, and now I don't have a passport or a...
Oh.
We're losing them.
Sorry, your audio dropped for a good 5 seconds there. You don't have a passport.
Yeah, and now I'm an illegal alien, and ICE is already at my door. Out of the country. So, pretty unfortunate, because apparently the name I go by is the end-all be-all of my identity. Oops.
Oh, is that your PSN account? Mine's Vape Life 69.
I can't. It's honestly shocking. To have the absolute lack of foresight not to see this being an issue. How in the big think tank of Sony brains was there not one person who's like, "Hey guys," it was probably some intern who was just sitting there "Hey guys, we might want to give the people the ability to change name," and all the execs were busy snorting cocaine off of $100 bills and weren't paying attention to the intern with the actual smart idea because they were just getting high off their minds. They
were putting their cocaine in line with their $600 PS3s.
Yeah, exactly.
The PS3 to cut it.
$600 launch PS3s.
Yeah, they were using the disc as a razor to draw the lines. Damn, you gotta be real freaking stupid to not have the foresight to think this is gonna be an issue. I'm pretty sure when AOL existed, you could change your name without deleting everything on you. Are you so archaic that the early '90s beat you out on tech ideas?
Yeah, it's pretty friggin' wild. Hopefully this won't be that big of a deal. Hopefully they get the word out so people who do want to change their names will know the consequences. We all know that's not going to be the case. They're going to be getting screamed at for years for this. But hey, Bong Ripper 420 will not be able to change his name without the consequences, and that is...
Legends never die.
Heroes, what is it? Heroes
get remembered, but legends never die.
Thank you for that. Bong Ripper 420, you will never die in our hearts. But that's gonna do it for this week.
Oh, anyone here got embarrassing in-game names?
I'm pretty sure my PSN name is actually my real life name because I didn't understand what I was doing.
I don't know what my PSN name is.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm usually King Kaiser, but I think I fucked that one up.
I did for several years on Xbox have Spanky McGooch, and then it finally got banned.
Wow.
I know. I was expecting it to be like instant.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, my original name was Crimson Shadow back in my Edge.
I do remember that. I am the
bloodstained shadow of edgy
I don't know if I had any edgy ones. I'm sure I did. I just can't think.
And I'm so glad I finally got around to changing it and didn't require me to lose everything, all my progress in life up to that point.
I mean,
as
long as you didn't put 3 letters together and then 3 numbers together, I think you're okay.
Or you didn't border it with XXX or like
XXX 420 no scoping sniper 69 XXX.
Oh, the renegade sniper.
No scoped your mom 420.
Actually, that name is so far below 0. It's 10.
Yeah, no scoped your mom is really good. Anyways, going to the final round.
Gotta go change my PSN name.
I think going to the final round this week. It was. I'm still not sure if this is the right choice, but it's the choice I'm picking. Dapper, you've won again.
I'm going with the fucking final round against him.
Dapper, are you ready for your minute to win it? Make Yu-Gi-Oh jokes. I don't know. Go for it.
Oh, that works. Last time I did it Magic Together.
I'll be slightly serious this time. Don't want to get too into it, but if you look around the country, there's a few scary laws getting passed in terms of women's rights, and I'm not going to go into it to create too much controversy, but I'm just going to tell people to pay attention to the news, and when things like this happen, make sure you're communicating with the people that they affect. Just because a bill or law doesn't affect you doesn't mean it can't have profound consequences on people around you. So try and be cognizant of what's going on in the world, and just because it doesn't personally affect your life, be cognizant of who it is affecting and listen to their stories, because it's a scary time to be alive for some people, even in this country. With some of the attacks going on them. So just be cognizant of the people around you and make sure you're listening to their stories. That's my semi-serious, without getting too specific, minute to win it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's pretty sound advice. Let's get back into the group now. And yeah, I think that was a solid week.
Yeah.
Anyways, anybody got anything to shout out this week? Well, I'll say this. On the Around the Monitor YouTube channel, there should be a new video coming out, hopefully on Tuesday. Can't promise that, but I'll say Wednesday to be safe. To be chafed.
To be
safe.
Abel, anything you want to shout out?
Electric Boogaloo.
I mean, I reached out to a Fire Emblem YouTuber to hopefully appear on his series. He's looking for other FE YouTubers and just trying to do like podcasts basically with him. So if that goes well, he needs to review on my channel. I don't think I have enough FE stuff on there, so I'm trying to also look at it besides expediting the process even faster now. So I'll try to see if I can sneak something in there where somebody reviews it. It's like, oh, that's a good reason to have this guy.
Oh, thank you.
I'm hoping I can get something going.
Hello, big warrior.
This video should have been out like 2 months ago, to be honest. That's on me. But I don't know. Crazy.
But I think if that's everything everybody's got to say, then let's wrap this ditty up. Thanks again for watching or listening, whichever you choose. Please, if you write in or comment either on the video, on the Facebook group, send an email to aroundthemonitor@gmail.com. Anything, we will feature you in next week's video, answering your questions, comments, or concerns. Try to build a community around this thing. It's working like a charm so far. So, until next time, though, this has been Around the Monitor. Peace out.